I cheated on my husband. Not because he failed me or forgot me or ever stopped loving me, but because I was selfish, and I thought I'd never get caught. He trusted me. He defended me. He gave me everything I could ever want and more. And I threw it away for a man who didn't even care if I had reached home after I was with him, risking my whole family. When my husband found out, he packed his things in silence. No fight, no begging, just silence. And now I live alone with the memory of what I did, and the face of the man I destroyed. I'm the woman he used to love, the one he would have died for, and I'm the woman who destroyed him, not out of malice, not even for love, but for something so small, so stupid, so shameful that even I can't understand it now. My name is Madison Harper, and I cheated on my husband, repeatedly, with a man who didn't love me, who didn't even respect me, a man who saw me as a toy, a temporary thrill. I threw away the best thing I ever had for flattery, for fantasy. And by the time I realized what I'd done, it was far too late. Let me take you back to where it all began. When Owen first walked into my life, we were just kids, college freshmen. He was tall, quiet, with soft brown eyes and a gentle smile that never seemed forced. I remember the first time he looked at me like I mattered. It was in our Psychology 101 class. I was late, and the only open seat was next to him. I plopped down, flustered, embarrassed, already expecting to be ignored. But he smiled at me like I belonged there. That's how Owen always made me feel, like I belonged. He was nothing like the boys I dated in high school. They were cocky, selfish, obsessed with appearances. Owen was patient, humble, kind. He remembered the small things, my favorite tea, how I hated thunderstorms, how I couldn't fall asleep without background noise. He didn't just listen. He paid attention. We started dating after a group study session turned into a walk through the snow-covered quad. He offered me his scarf. We talked for hours, until our noses were red and our fingers numb. And when he kissed me under the lamplight, I remember thinking, this is it. This is what love is supposed to feel like. He proposed 5 years later. We were living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Chicago, eating takeout on the floor because we couldn't afford furniture yet. He handed me a ring box wrapped in a napkin and said, "It's not much, but I want to give you everything I have, forever." And he meant it. He worked long hours as a structural engineer while I pursued my career in marketing. He supported me through grad school, through every layoff, every failed project, every burnout. When I doubted myself, he believed enough for both of us. When I was promoted to creative director at a prestigious firm, he threw a party for me with our closest friends, even though he'd just been passed over for a raise himself. He never made me feel guilty for shining. He was proud of me, fiercely proud. So how did I become the woman who shattered that man? It didn't happen all at once. It started with little things, tiny cracks in my conscience I chose to ignore. There was a new consultant hired at my firm, Landon. Tall, charismatic, and effortlessly charming. The kind of man who walked into a room and made women blush and men stand straighter. He was bold, unapologetic, the complete opposite of Owen. The first time Landon complimented my ideas in a meeting, I felt seen in a way I hadn't in a long time. Not because Owen didn't see me. He did. But Landon saw something else. Something darker. Something I didn't know I craved. We started chatting more, grabbing coffee, then drinks. Late nights at the office blurred into dinners, laughter, secrets. I told myself it was harmless. I was married. I loved my husband. I could enjoy a little attention without crossing a line. Then one night, after a major pitch that had everyone celebrating, Landon invited me to join him and a few colleagues for drinks. The bar was dimly lit, the air thick with laughter and the clinking of glasses, but all I could focus on was Landon's eyes, dark, intense, and somehow different from the way Owen looked at me. There was a daring confidence in Landon that pulled me in, a sharp edge of danger that Owen never had. As the night wore on, the group thinned out until it was just the two of us, standing close in the quiet corner of the bar. I could feel his gaze lingering on me, tracing my face like he was memorizing every detail. Then, without warning, he leaned in and pressed his lips against mine. It wasn't a quick brush or a playful tease. It was deliberate, slow, and demanding. My heart thundered in my chest, breath catching as the world around me blurred. For a moment, I froze, part of me screaming to pull away, to remember who I was, who I belonged to. "I can't," I whispered, my voice trembling. But the words barely escaped before I found myself sinking deeper into the kiss. I didn't say no. I didn't push him away. I didn't even think about Owen waiting for me at home in that instant. Everything I believed about myself, about my marriage, shattered. That was the beginning. What followed was months of lies, of two lives tangled in deceit. I would kiss my husband goodbye in the morning, text Landon all day, sleep beside Owen at night, while my phone buzzed with messages from another man. I convinced myself I wasn't really cheating. That as long as there was no love, it didn't mean anything, but it meant everything. Owen didn't suspect a thing at first. He was still the same devoted husband, making me coffee, rubbing my feet after long days, planning little surprises. He still looked at me like I was his whole world, and that only made the guilt worse. But instead of stopping, I pulled further, away. I told myself Owen was boring, too predictable, that he didn't challenge me, that he didn't get me anymore. It was all lies. The truth is, I wanted to feel desired. I wanted to feel powerful. I wanted to be reckless, to feel young and wild again. Landon gave me that rush, but it was poison, and I drank it willingly. One day. Owen found a receipt for a hotel in my coat pocket. I'll never forget the look on his face. He wasn't angry, just shattered. "Were you there alone?" he asked. I froze. I couldn't lie. Not anymore. I just nodded slowly. He said, "Nothing." He didn't scream. He didn't accuse. He just walked into the bedroom, packed a small bag, and left. He texted me a few hours later. "I'll be staying at my brother's. Please respect that." That night, I sat on our bed, staring at the dent his body used to make in the mattress. I waited for the anger to hit. It didn't. Just silence. And shame. I thought I'd feel relief. Instead, I felt hollow. I tried calling him. He didn't answer. I left messages, wrote letters, begged him to come home. He never responded. A week later, I saw a photo online. Owen with his niece at the park. He was smiling, but it wasn't the same smile. It was forced. His eyes looked tired, haunted. I needed to know if he was okay, if he was hurting as much as I was. So, one night, with trembling hands, I sent a message to his brother. It was a desperate, silent plea for answers. Is he okay? Does he talk about me?" I typed and stared at the screen, heart pounding. Minutes passed, maybe longer, hours probably, until finally his brother replied, but the words weren't what I expected. "He won't talk about you," the message read, cautious but firm. "He's not the type to share much. Just don't expect to hear anything from him." I stared at those words, unable to look away. It wasn't just a message. It was a confession of the pain I caused, laid bare by someone who saw it all but couldn't stop it. And that broke me, because Owen was more than enough. He was everything. And I destroyed him. I ended things with Landon. Not that he cared, he moved on within days. I was just another affair to him. A temporary thrill. He didn't lose sleep over me. But Owen? He lost everything. His trust. His belief in love. His future. I kept trying. For months. I sent him letters. Called from different numbers. Showed up at his work. Eventually I got a restraining order warning. Not from Owen, but from HR. He didn't want to see me. He didn't want my words. He wanted peace, and I couldn't give it to him. Years have passed now. I haven't dated. I haven't even tried, because no man could ever measure up to what I had and what I threw away. Owen moved on eventually. I heard he's married now. She's a teacher, quiet, kind, nothing like me. She doesn't have a high-powered job or a fancy car, but she adores him. And I think that's all he ever wanted. He deserved a love that didn't hurt. And I deserved to lose him. I watch from afar sometimes, from a distance. I see him walking hand in hand with his wife, laughing, happy, or maybe just healing. He never looked back, and I don't blame him. This is my punishment, remembering a love so pure I didn't know how to keep it. Living each day with the knowledge that I wasn't just unfaithful, I was cruel, I was selfish, I was reckless with a man who only ever wanted to give me everything. And now, I have nothing. My name is Madison Harper, and I shattered the man who worshipped me.